Hi, everyone. Welcome to another amazing topic of conversation. First, I want to thank my sponsors, the Health Channel. So please sign up for their newsletter, everything regarding your health. And if you need any workspaces, Alexa's Workspace has everything from just renting a boardroom to space or just an office for an hour. And the best resource page in Facebook and Instagram is Aventura Moms that goes beyond Aventura. So welcome everyone. Lincoln, welcome.
Thank you, Gladys. Thank you so much.
It is a pleasure having you today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
So I got a hold of your book, No More Excuses.
Thank you. And what do you think?
Well, we all make excuses sometime or another, right?
Absolutely.
Like we make excuses for not to do this or if we do that. But why did you decide to write a book about this topic?
Well, I mean, there's many books I can write, and it's something that it seems to percolate or be very prevalent in many people. So I hear it on a daily basis when you ask people why they're doing something or why they're not doing something, and there's always an excuse. The last chapter of my book is called "But," and the reason why it's ... But is many people may say, "Well, I'm meaning to do it, but." I just haven't gotten around to do it. But last year this happened, so I wasn't able to do it. But you see, it's always
there's always a but coming.
There's always a but, right? So that was the last chapter. But the first chapter of my book is called "I'm Waiting on God for a Sign." So you asked me why have I? Because I've been around a lot of people who are either religious, spiritual, or lack of any one of those. And whether you're spiritual, religious, or not, excuses remain. Many people continue to have excuses for why they're not living the life that they are meant to live. Some people don't know that they are supposed to live a better life, and for many reasons. And many of the reasons are sort of engulfed in the excuses, because after a while, when you make excuses for not living that life, you end up believing it because it's just a habit now. And then it becomes the second nature why you're not doing it the way you should.
So how is the way you should?
Well, the way you should. And so you asked me, the first question was, why did I do it? It's because many people seem to...
Why did you choose this topic?
Yes, I chose this topic because many people seem to continue to use that. And I wanted to actually change people's attitudes and inspire people to realize that excuses are just a way to mask and deflect the reality, which is that, hey, you actually have no excuse. And the only reason why, because you can. And what's keeping you from doing it? It's you. What's keeping me from doing anything that actually gives me great satisfaction or using my skills that I have is nothing other than me. No one's stopping me from doing things that I love, except me. But it requires sacrifice.
You see,
and it requires yes, but it requires sacrifice. And once you have sacrifice, it's not right. So that in itself is not an excuse. It's actually indicating the reality. See, when people say but, they usually say but with an excuse rather than but with what they need to do. And then when you say but what you need to do, then the next question is, well, why aren't you doing it? So So I decided to write a book to highlight just a few, because remember, there are many more excuses than that, but just a few of the excuses that people use on a day-to-day basis. And it's so clear when you read the book is that, yeah, you know what? I use that excuse, but it's actually invalid. There's no reason for me to have such an excuse. And yes, the reason why I'm not living the life of purpose with meaning is really because of me. Fear and doubt gets in the way. And listen, it's not about not being fearful or doubtful. It's actually proceeding in spite of. That's how and that's what courage is, right? In order to succeed, in order to not have use those excuses, you have to have courage. And courage requires you to be bold enough to go and proceed and do things that actually give where your passion is and gives you satisfaction and purpose.
Maybe
in spite of the fear and doubt.
Because maybe most people don't do it or look for excuses because of fear.
Yes, the fear and doubt. And that's what I'm saying is that I think people need to embrace the fact that fear exists, but you can still understand that it is all within you to say, to fear, to look at fear in the face and say, no, I will go ahead. And I can go ahead. You see, I can and I will. Remember, and then you do. Remember that you say you can in your mind, because it's all about mindset, right? If you have the right mindset, then you believe you can. But some people have the mindset, but fear keeps them from actually going the next step, which is to actually do, to actually proceed, to actually take the risk. And what I'm saying is that unless you, number one, first understand what your goals are, or know that you have talents and that you are magnificent, you have a mind that is free of excuses, only then can you actually step into the light and realize your full potential. And that's what I want people to actually get to understand.
Long time ago, somebody taught me to change just one word. Because when you say, if I do this, and they taught me to change it for when I do this.
Yes.
And it totally changes the attitude, the narrative, everything.
Yes.
Because
yes,
it's not when this is going, if this is going to happen, no, now it's when this will happen.
Precisely. Yes. So, but that's part of your mindset. So, see, when you actually decide, and remember, it's a choice that you made. Because remember, we all make choices, whether subconsciously or not.
Choices.
But it's about choices. But to make the choice, it's led from your mindset, where you actually believe that you can. See, when people don't believe they can, then they say things like if, because then they hedge their bets, if you will. But when you actually believe that you can, you will, you don't say if anymore. You say when.
When.
You say, I'm doing it. Right? You don't say, I'm trying to do it. Like, Star Wars, the Yoda, when Luke Skywalker told him he'll try, Yoda says, do or do not. There is no try. And it's a mindset. You see, if you start trying.
Or when you want to ask for something, you have the no already.
Exactly. It's the expectation, right? Yeah, you never go into sports. Well, I shouldn't say you never, but true winners go into sports have already won. You go into it's in your mind winning. And listen, and if you don't win, then you just assume it to be you just didn't win this time, because you never just give up because you lost. Right? The losing is just part of your journey to win.
Correct.
But if you ever think, oh, I'm going to try, I don't know if I can, then you've already defeated yourself. And that's not a way to actually go through life. You want to go through life with a positive attitude, a winning mindset. But in order to have that mindset and thinking, you always have to be prepared. You don't ever go into anything just blindly, just because you have oh, I'm positive about it. No one goes positively into anything without saying, okay, okay, I'm going to do this. I am doing it. And I'm going to make sure that I have everything in place. And don't get me wrong, sometimes people want everything in place where they do nothing because they want it to be 100% done. You got to actually balance the 80-20 rule, where I'm going to go 80% into it, and the 20% which I'm not ready for, it'll be okay. I'll get it done. But you have to fully in your mind believe that it will be done. And that's the whole idea of no more excuses, is that stop with the excuses. The excuses are what keep you back. And who is making the excuses? No one else other than you.
No one but you. You come from a background of finance.
Yes.
It's all about numbers, and numbers
Correct.
are very straightforward.
Yes, I think so.
Now this book is more of a spiritual side of it. You talk more of a journey, of choices, yes, of spiritual change.
Yes.
So where do you balance that from the numbers to the spiritual?
Well, here's the thing. I believe no matter what profession you're in, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, you're a garbage collector, you work in a factory, you work in an office, you provide service directly to people or indirectly. You begin as a human being. The word being, human being. The being is a spiritual being. We are all spiritual beings, not religious, spiritual beings. And if we don't understand that fundamental difference and aspect, the fact that we are beyond our physical, then we never actually truly embrace the fact that our mind is the greatest resource that we have, and we could do amazing things. The finance is not who I am. The spiritual being is who I am, and this happens to have the skill in finance. So when I wrote the book, I wanted to go back to the core of who we are. And irrespective of whether you're in finance or anything else, that you can actually accomplish all what you need to accomplish if first you focus on using the skills that you have. Not look at someone else's skills and want to be like someone else. Look at the skills you have, because everyone has a skill. And everyone can use that skill to step into the light, to actually fulfill their purpose in life, which is to serve others. That is ultimately what one wants to be able to do. So the fact that I'm in finance, people get surprised. They think, okay, well, it should be a finance book I would write, because, right?
Not necessarily a finance book, but numbers are very scientific, straight. Spiritual are very,
but that's the point I'm making is there's no division. There's no distinction between the two. And why? It's because everyone, again, is a spiritual being. So the fact that I am skilled in finance doesn't remove me from being a spiritual being, from someone who actually can help people recognize their full potential in anything that they want to do. I may not be, and that's the key. So the fact that I'm in finance, it becomes irrelevant, other than the fact that if I were to explain to someone in finance what I need to do, but I could still explain and inspire someone who wants to be in any profession, do anything, whether it's from the trades to being a rocket scientist. Ultimately, that person has to have the right mindset and attitude. And for me, inspiring people to actually recognize that no matter what profession you're in, what you want to do, now is the time to realize that there are no excuses for pursuing what's meaningful to you.
I wanna read one sentence, and I want you to expand on it.
Sure.
No one has ever succeeded in life by conforming to what society deems normal.
Correct.
What does normal mean to you?
Well, exactly. So for me, normal is what I would say, the mainstream media, the majority of people who are vocal, and I have to say that because this is very important, right? Cultural norms and so forth. That's normal. That's why it's called a norm, right? People, everybody does it that way. And who is everybody? Most people, at least most that you know of, right? And that's what is considered normal in most societies, what the majority of people do, quote unquote, majority. For me, when I look at the greatest inventors of our lifetime, or even, I mean, the greatest inventors, period, right? Whether philosophers or not. You look at Thomas Alva Edison, the inventor of the light bulb. Everybody thought he
was crazy.
Was crazy, right? He certainly wouldn't fit the normal. Einstein, they thought he was slow and he would never amount to anything.
Yeah,
right?
He had the worst. He had the worst grades.
It was great, right? Exactly.
The worst grades.
Right?
And,
exactly.
yeah.
Right. Steve Jobs. No matter what you think about him, right? How he was difficult to work with and so forth, but his mind was beyond many. Right. His vision, and he had vision, and he was relentless about it. And just continue to look at Galileo and all these people who, Mark Twain. I mean, just continue along the path, and you will see that none of them, absolutely none, there's not a single one you can point to that was considered to be part of the normal, the mainstream, right?
And
so then the question is,
one.
Sorry?
I'll give you another one, my favorite, not normal, crazy person, Walt Disney.
So when Walt looked at the Everglades there, and people thought he was crazy buying a swampland in Florida. The guy has lost his mind.
And putting the animal that people hated the most.
The animal that people, a mouse. Can you imagine? I mean, you must be lost your mind.
Yeah.
But you see, and that's the point. So you really cannot, in my opinion, and maybe if you can, please share with me, point at anyone that has made a significant impact in the world, significant and positive impact on the world, I should say.
By being normal?
By being normal, in the quote unquote. And that is the point I'm making. So the question is, if these are the people one would want to aspire to be like, in terms of their contribution to society, why would anyone want to be normal? If the truth, right?
That's it. To the wrong person, because I'm really far from normal.
Exactly, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's the point. So normality, I'm not sure what it is, other than I think it stagnates, it cripples, it causes people to, it limits people's understanding.
Because people feel that if they step out of what you define as normal, they fear. That's when they doubt themselves. That's
of
when.
Course.
Remember back in the day when Christopher Columbus.
Yes.
That they thought that the world was flat.
Yes.
And that he was gonna fall and die.
Absolutely.
And he managed to convince the Queen and King of Spain,
yeah,
to give them the money to go, and he will discover the other side.
Absolutely.
He was not afraid.
No, he absolutely wasn't. And there you go again. You're just naming a lot of people who actually went against what is called as the norm. And I believe that everyone has within themselves the ability to actually step outside of that humanly defined boundary into their own. Because remember, everyone has their own journey, their own timing, their own skill set, right? Their own lifespan. And we have to find our voice, find our purpose, which, as I said in my book, I think everyone's purpose is to serve others, and I could expand on that. And when you do that, there is a joy that is undescribable. There really is.
You talk about the power
Yes.
that it gives you when you
Yes.
move forward.
It's amazing. It's amazing because that power, as I said, whether you're religious or not, the reality is that for people who are like Christians, for example, God is within them. For people who are not, God is within them. If that makes any sense. The energy
Yeah,
force,
they feel an energy is inside.
yes, that's it. That's it. And that's why I consider God to be the energy force that it operates within you, and it's just bursting, ready. But it requires you to make the choice. And when you make the choice, your world will never be the same. Your life will never be the same. But you have to make the choice. No one's going to make it for you. And if someone forces you to make it, then I have to tell you, it's not the same as consciously stepping in and saying, I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it to live my life the way that I believe I was meant to live it. And unfortunately, many people are not doing that because they fear rejection. They fear society looking at them as freaks and different. Yet they admire those people who
They
have been
admire
able to do
those
that.
people.
Right? Think about
I,
it. It's I can't explain it, but it's real. It
I'm
happens
going
all the
to
time.
explain it with a story.
Please.
Many years ago, but I'm talking many, many years, around 40 years ago, I remember there was someone who used to cut my hair. He was a very famous hairstylist. And he called me one day and said, can I try a new haircut with you? And I go, why me? Why me? And he said, because every time you change your hair, everybody criticizes you that you don't look good, you don't look bad. But I have a line of people coming in, do the same thing you did today. And I want to try a new haircut. And the only person that number one is not afraid to try it is you. And number two, I need a whole line of people to come and do that haircut.
Amazing.
And and then he said to me, he said, I know that a lot of people criticize the way you do your hair, the way you do this, but in the back end, they come and they wanna look like you.
That is amazing. There you
And I
go. That's
never
a
knew
great.
that was so. Yes, it's not having the fear to go and try new things, to
Yes.
venture. It's like, okay, what if you fail? So what?
So what?
So what? Steve Jobs
Exactly.
was thrown out of his company.
Yes. You
He
remember that,
was
right?
he was thrown out of his own company,
Yes.
and he came back.
And he said that was one of the best things that ever happened to him because then
Correct.
he then went on to co-found, I think it was Pixar or something like that. It's amazing. Exactly. And when you but so he had a choice, eh? I
But
think
he
about
made
it
a
this way.
choice. Correct.
He had a choice where he could have just fallen off the grid and just went into a Great Depression. And it's okay to actually be upset and sad about these things, but you never
Yeah.
remain there. You never stay there.
Correct. You
Yeah,
never stay there. You
yeah.
need, and that is your choice.
That's your choice.
That is your choice to help
Yeah.
yourself. And that's
Yes,
where you're totally right. No more excuses. Like, what's your excuse for not doing it?
absolutely. That's why if you read my book, you'll notice that at the end of every chapter, I have a phrase: "The choice is yours."
But, but,
See, let me hear the but now. Remember, I said every time there's a but, it's normally comes with an excuse. So let's hear it now.
that's what I was going to. But no, there's certain things that I totally in my mind that now I'm like reflecting on how much things I don't do and I make up excuses for not doing it.
And you know, I do it too. To be clear, Gladys, this is a journey for all of us, right? We all make excuses one way or the other. The question is, do we make excuses to the detriment of not living that life of purpose? You know, I mean, listen, if I don't want to go somewhere, nowadays tell people I don't want to go. But before I used to say, well, you know, I'm sick, I'm not well. You know, I came down for flu, you know, these kind of excuses. But that doesn't really, that doesn't impact my life in any way, you know? But when you make like excuses that really, and over again, year after year, and you just complain about your job and you do nothing about it because, you know, somehow, you know, you have a skill, but you're not sure if anyone will take you seriously. I mean, all these things are just crippling to your success. And the day that you embrace and you say, listen, what's the worst that can happen? If I try, I can succeed or fail. But if I actually never try, or never do, I should say, I shouldn't say try, then I'll tell you what, I am 1000% assured of never succeeding. If I don't do it, right? If you don't do it, it's not going to just happen.
And with that, I really want to thank you.
You're welcome.
For reflecting me on all the excuses that I've made for a lot of things. So thank you.
Thank you, Gladys, for having me.
Change the narrative. Thank you for an eye-opening. And for everyone, the book is called No More Excuses by Lincoln Greenidge. And you can buy it in Amazon. And I will see you next week. And above all, stay safe.
Okay, be well. God bless. Bye-bye.
Be well.